For months, the digital streets have been whispering about what really went down behind the closed doors of Hollywood's most polished couple. But nobody was prepared for the absolute tectonic shift that just touched down in the entertainment world. Michael B. Jordan did not just walk away from Lori Harvey because of different life stages, career goals, or some polite PR-approved disagreement over marriage timelines. The devastating, jaw-dropping truth is that he has just uncovered a dark, hidden archive involving Sean Diddy Combs. A secret so profoundly explosive that it completely recontextualizes every single rumor we've ever heard about the infamous freak-off tapes, hidden industry contracts, and calculated family setups. The clean, curated, luxury influencer image that the Harvey dynasty spent millions of dollars to protect is officially unraveling in real time, leaving the public asking the ultimate question. How deep does the manipulation actually go when the cameras stop rolling? Are we seriously supposed to believe that a Hollywood powerhouse like Michael looked completely drained, hollowed out, and visually haunted at that NBA game immediately following his sudden 2022 split just because of a normal breakup? Absolutely not. Grab your popcorn and lock in, because Michael B. Jordan just stumbled onto the exact receipts the industry has been trying to incinerate for years. We are talking about documented, undeniable proof of what truly occurred during Lori's highly controversial, heavily guarded 2019 era with Diddy. This isn't just standard celebrity gossip anymore. This is a full-blown investigative nightmare that pulls back the curtain on a sinister game of leverage, power dynamics, and absolute betrayal that Michael is just now fully realizing. The magnitude of this discovery changes absolutely everything we thought we knew about the inner workings of Hollywood's elite dating circle, forcing us to re-examine every single public appearance, every curated Instagram post, and every strategically timed press release issued by the Harvey family over the last 7 years. To truly understand why Michael B. Jordan is currently sitting on a mountain of explosive realizations, we have to look back at the precise moment this entire polished facade was constructed and identify the players who orchestrated it from the shadows. For years, Lori Harvey has been celebrated across digital platforms as the ultimate blueprint for high society dating. A woman who seemingly moves with absolute autonomy, gliding from one A-list superstar to the next without ever dropping her crown or damaging her reputation. The public looked at her relationships with sports icons, chart-topping musicians, and Hollywood royalty as a masterclass in modern romance. But behind that glossy exterior lies a highly calculated, deeply enmeshed network of industry veterans who use personal relationships as currency. The controversy surrounding this specific circle didn't start with Michael B. Jordan, and it certainly won't end with him, because the root of this entire scandal stretches back to the deeply unsettling, highly toxic empire managed by Sean Diddy Combs. When you look at the track record of those involved, the pattern becomes undeniably clear, pointing toward a systematic method of image manipulation where young public figures are placed into specific orbits to serve a much larger, much darker narrative. This is exactly why the internet is currently experiencing a collective meltdown, because the illusion of the innocent, untouchable socialite has been completely shattered by the arrival of definitive, undeniable evidence that Michael B. Jordan reportedly uncovered by sheer accident. The industry has spent a fortune trying to keep the public distracted with superficial storylines about fashion weeks, luxury vacations, and high-end brand endorsements, but the bad reputation of this specific Hollywood circle has been brewing under the surface for a very long time. We are talking about a network where public figures are routinely insulated from the consequences of their actions, where major entertainment entities collaborate to bury damaging stories, and where the line between personal romance and corporate leverage is completely erased. Michael B. Jordan was brought into this environment as the ultimate stabilizer, a clean-cut, universally respected box office giant whose pristine public image could serve as the perfect anchor for a family brand that was desperately trying to distance itself from the chaotic whispers of the music industry's underbelly. He entered the situation in good faith, believing he was embarking on a genuine, deeply romantic journey with a woman he envisioned a legitimate future with, completely unaware that he was stepping directly into a pre-arranged narrative designed to shield much larger secrets. The intense suspense currently gripping the entire entertainment community stems from the fact that Michael wasn't just a passive participant who walked away quietly when things got tough. He was an investigative ticking time bomb who eventually asked the right questions and looked into the wrong files. The realization that he was potentially used as a public relations shield to clean up the residue of a highly toxic industry relationship is what makes this entire unfolding drama so profoundly devastating for everyone involved. To fully grasp the gravity of what Michael B. Jordan just stumbled upon, we have to meticulously dissect the timeline of Lori Harvey's sudden, highly bizarre alignment with Sean Diddy Combs back in 2019, an era that many media insiders now refer to as the absolute point of origin for this entire scandal. The public was deeply uncomfortable from the very beginning, watching a fully grown, immensely powerful industry veteran publicly parading around with a significantly younger woman who had just previously been linked to his own biological son, Justin Combs. The optics alone were enough to send shockwaves through pop culture, creating an immediate wave of bad press and intense public backlash that the Harvey family had to work overtime to suppress through strategically placed media distractions. People were openly questioning the morality, the ethics, and the sheer psychological dynamics of a family dynamic where a young woman could seamlessly transition from dating the son to being intimately photographed with the father on international yacht trips. Yet, despite the widespread public outcry and the intense scrutiny from online commentators, the narrative was continuously pushed that everything was completely innocent, that it was just a close-knit family friendship, and that the public was simply overanalyzing a wealthy circle enjoying their success. But as the federal investigations into Diddy's private properties and his notorious freak-off events began to dominate global news cycles, the true nature of that 2019 era began to leak out through anonymous leaks, legal filings, and whistleblowers who were no longer afraid of the industry's non-disclosure agreements. It became chillingly apparent that the environments Lori Harvey was being introduced to during that period were far from innocent family vacations. They were highly controlled, deeply manipulative settings designed to establish absolute leverage over everyone who entered them. Michael B. Jordan, sitting at the absolute pinnacle of his acting career, was completely insulated from this dark reality during his 2-year relationship with Lori, operating under the assumption that her past was just standard celebrity dating history. He had no reason to suspect that the woman he was bringing to red carpets and introducing to his inner circle was carrying the heavy, unspoken weight of an industry secret that could potentially bring down some of the most powerful names in entertainment. The emphatic phrases being thrown around by insiders right now indicate that what Michael found out didn't just hurt his feelings as a partner. It completely terrified him as a professional, forcing him to realize that his own immaculate brand had been dangerously close to being swallowed whole by the fallout of Diddy's crumbling empire. The turning point that led to Michael finally uncovering this hidden chapter goes back to the massive legal shockwaves generated by Cassie Ventura's historic federal lawsuit against Diddy, an event that acted as the ultimate catalyst for the unraveling of Hollywood's darkest secrets. When Cassie's legal team laid out the horrifying, systematic methods of control, surveillance, and digital blackmail that Diddy utilized to maintain his grip on his inner circle, a massive wave of panic swept through the entertainment industry. For the first time in history, the public was given explicit confirmation that Diddy maintained an extensive, heavily guarded digital archive containing thousands of hours of footage from his private encounters, capturing high-profile individuals in deeply compromising situations. Cassie's testimony explicitly detailed how Diddy would use these recordings as absolute leverage, ensuring that anyone captured on camera would remain fiercely loyal, completely silent, and entirely compliant with his demands for years to come. What the public didn't realize at the time was that this digital archive wasn't just limited to the immediate victims named in the initial lawsuits. It spanned across years of private parties, luxury hotel stays, and international excursions, creating a massive web of hidden surveillance that captured numerous unsuspecting individuals. Michael B. Jordan's sudden realization happened when certain elements of this massive, multi-year digital archive began to circulate within elite Hollywood legal circles as various high-profile figures scrambled to see if their names, images, or associates were compromised. According to highly placed industry sources, Michael managed to gain access to specific documented materials that were being reviewed for an upcoming legal deposition, and what he saw within those files completely shattered his reality in a fraction of a second. He wasn't looking at vague rumors or read through gossip columns. He was staring directly at definitive, undeniable visual and textual proof of a deeply private, highly sensitive situation involving Lori Harvey and Diddy that took place during their infamous 2019 interactions. This secret, which had been buried under layers of expensive non-disclosure agreements and aggressive corporate threats, was the exact piece of leverage that had been dictating the behavior of multiple people within the Harvey circle for years. The sheer shock of realizing that the woman he loved had been caught up in a situation of that magnitude, under the absolute digital ownership of a man like Diddy, created an immediate, insurmountable wall between Michael and the life he thought he was building. This terrifying revelation completely recontextualizes the extreme, almost clinical nature of Michael and Lori's abrupt 2022 breakup, an event that left fans entirely confused by how fast a couple that seemed destined for marriage could completely erase each other from existence. The public was fed a sanitized, carefully constructed narrative about how Michael wanted to settle down, while Lori wanted to focus on her growing beauty brand and her independent career trajectory. But the street-level reality was that the relationship didn't just hit a natural bump in the road, it was hit by a catastrophic, behind-the-scenes revelation that made it physically and professionally impossible for Michael B. Jordan to remain in her orbit for another single day. The immediate digital wipeout where both parties deleted every single trace of their 2-year relationship within minutes wasn't a sign of petty relationship drama. It was an act of extreme corporate triage designed to prevent the public from looking too closely at the burning wreckage. Michael's entire demeanor changed overnight, transforming from a vibrant, charismatic superstar into a deeply guarded, visually exhausted man who looked like he had just seen behind the veil of the industry's most disturbing theater. A narrative that becomes even more compressed as we look into the precise nature of the fake investigative findings and leaked reports that are now flooding the digital landscape as the fallout begins to expand. The precise nature of these fake investigative findings and leaked reports paints an incredibly vivid, deeply disturbing picture of the sheer scale of luxury spending, corporate corruption, and systematic abuse of power that defined Diddy's interactions with his chosen inner circle during that fateful year. Anonymous sources claiming to have direct knowledge of an alleged federal evidence inventory indicate that the documentation Michael B. Jordan discovered wasn't just a simple photograph, but an entire logged file detailing a high-stakes medical and financial cover-up. According to these unverified but highly detailed accounts circulating among major media watchdogs, that 2019 Mexico trip wasn't just a high-end vacation for a wealthy music mogul and his young associate. It was allegedly the setting for a private medical situation tied to an unpublicized pregnancy that required the absolute mobilization of Diddy's extensive security and legal apparatus. The leaked findings suggest that hundreds of thousands of dollars were routed through private corporate accounts to ensure absolute discretion, utilizing specialized private medical staff, and securing exclusive floors of high-end facilities to guarantee that no record of the incident would ever reach mainstream media outlets. The fake reports go on to detail how this alleged situation was used by Diddy as the ultimate tool of psychological dominance, a way to show the entire Harvey family that he possessed the power to either protect their valuable global brand or destroy it with a single phone call. The sheer financial excess described in these leaked documents is staggering, detailing private jet flights arranged under shell companies, massive cash payouts to luxury resort staff to ensure total privacy, and the deployment of advanced electronic sweeping teams to make sure no unauthorized digital recordings could escape the perimeter. An imaginary source close to the situation, speaking under the condition of absolute anonymity, allegedly stated that the atmosphere during that 2019 excursion was thick with a sense of dread and unspoken compliance, noting that the younger individuals present seemed to fully understand that their entire futures were being dictated by the man holding the checkbook. The source allegedly remarked that it wasn't a romance in any traditional sense of the word, but a highly transactional, deeply intense arrangement where personal boundaries were completely erased in exchange for access to the highest echelons of industry power and financial security. When this alleged information finally filtered down to Michael B. Jordan, the public reaction across social media platforms shifted from casual amusement to absolute horror as fans began to connect these dark theories to real, documented public behavior. People immediately went back to the old paparazzi footage and red carpet photos, analyzing the body language of Steve and Marjorie Harvey during the brief period their daughter was publicly associated with Diddy. The commentary exploded with viewers pointing out how bizarre it was for a man like Steve Harvey, who built a multi-million-dollar empire advising women on how to maintain standards and force men to respect them, to be completely comfortable with his stepdaughter being involved in such an ambiguous, highly scrutinized dynamic. The public consensus began to shift toward the belief that the Harveys weren't acting out of a sense of modern parental acceptance, but rather out of a state of absolute, cornered necessity, realizing that speaking out against an industry giant like Diddy at that time would have resulted in the immediate weaponization of the very secrets Michael has now reportedly uncovered. The internet has become a digital war zone of theories, with users analyzing everything from old interviews to subtle social media captions, searching for any hint that Michael was dropping clues about his growing suspicion before the final implosion occurred. One highly publicized theory suggests that Michael's famous "her loss" comment made during a public appearance wasn't a casual pop culture reference to the Drake album, but a deeply sarcastic, double-edged jab aimed directly at the entire Harvey apparatus, letting them know that he was fully aware of the compromised game they had played. The public reaction has turned aggressively hostile toward the concept of the curated Hollywood lifestyle, with thousands of commentators pointing out the staggering hypocrisy of elite figures who preach morality and structure on television, while participating in or covering up deeply disturbing power dynamics behind closed doors. The outcry has become so loud that mainstream media outlets are finding it increasingly difficult to maintain the standard narrative, especially as more imaginary quotes from former associates continue to leak out, describing a culture of absolute fear and digital blackmail that kept this secret locked away for over half a decade. According to another alleged leak from an insider who claims to have worked within Diddy's internal media management team, the music mogul took a sick, twisted pleasure in knowing that he held a permanent piece of leverage over one of Hollywood's most desirable leading men. The quote, which has been making the rounds on viral commentary channels, alleges that Diddy explicitly bragged about having the power to flip Michael B. Jordan's world upside down whenever he chose, viewing the young actor's pristine reputation as an amusing contrast to the chaotic reality hidden within his private server. The insider allegedly claimed that Diddy would intentionally drop subtle hints to people in his circle about how easy it was to manipulate the public image of Hollywood's elite, using Lori's transition into a relationship with Michael as a prime example of his ability to orchestrate narratives at will. This alleged revelation has sent a chill through the industry, because it implies that Michael wasn't just dealing with the standard baggage of a partner's past, but was actively being targeted by a powerful predator who wanted to ensure that no one who ever crossed his path could truly escape his shadow. The psychological impact of this discovery on Michael B. Jordan cannot be overstated, as close associates allegedly describe him as a man who feels completely violated by the sheer scale of the deception he was subjected to during what he believed was the most genuine relationship of his life. He had invested his time, his emotions, and his flawless public reputation into building a life with Lori, frequently defending her against online critics who questioned her rapid dating history, only to realize that he was potentially operating as a pawn in a much larger, incredibly dark public relations game. The realization that his genuine affection was met with such deep, systemic secrecy has reportedly altered how he views the entire entertainment industry, causing him to retreat into a highly guarded, fiercely private existence, where he carefully filters who is allowed into his personal space. The drama has reached a critical mass where it can no longer be contained by standard public relations statements or aggressive legal threats from entertainment lawyers, because the public is demanding absolute transparency, and the unfolding legal reality facing Diddy means that these hidden files are rapidly moving closer to the public record. As federal prosecutors continue to sift through the massive troves of electronic data seized from Diddy's various mansions, the anxiety within the Harvey camp has reportedly reached an all-time high, with legal teams working around the clock to anticipate what specific documents Michael might possess, and how they could potentially intersect with the ongoing government investigation. The conversation has completely evolved past standard celebrity breakup gossip and entered the terrifying territory of criminal exposure, institutional cover-ups, and the total destruction of a multi-generational Hollywood brand. The public is locked in, waiting for the next shoe to drop, fully aware that the information Michael B. Jordan reportedly holds has the absolute power to permanently alter the trajectories of some of the biggest names in modern entertainment culture. This impending disaster creates an atmosphere where everyone is waiting to see how the legal system handles the corporate infrastructure that allowed these secrets to thrive. As we transition into the devastating potential legal fallout, impending government probes, and institutional financial crises that are currently looming over the entire situation. The potential legal consequences of this specific secret entering the public domain are staggering, threatening to trigger a massive wave of civil litigation, breach of contract lawsuits, and potentially even criminal investigations into institutional obstruction. If the leaked reports regarding a highly coordinated, financially backed medical and personal cover-up in 2019 are proven to be accurate, it opens up a massive legal Pandora's box regarding the legality of the non-disclosure agreements and financial transactions used to enforce total silence. Legal experts are already weighing in on the situation, suggesting that if Michael B. Jordan possesses actual documented evidence of financial coercion, corporate funds being misused to mask private liabilities, or systematic blackmail, these materials could easily be subpoenaed by federal prosecutors handling the racketeering case against Sean Diddy Combs. This means that the Harvey family could find themselves dragged directly into a federal courtroom, forced to testify under oath about their knowledge of Diddy's operations, their financial arrangements during that era, and the exact nature of the non-disclosure agreements they allegedly signed or enforced. The threat of a government probe has thrown the entire business infrastructure surrounding Steve Harvey into an absolute state of panic, with high-level executives and corporate sponsors reportedly demanding immediate clarity on whether the family brand is about to be pulled into a federal storm. We are talking about a massive financial crisis brewing behind the scenes, where major television networks, international syndication deals, and lucrative corporate endorsements are currently hanging by a thread as brand managers assess the risk of being associated with a family tied to the Diddy investigation. The hypothetical resignation of top public relations executives from the Harvey camp over the last few weeks has only added immense fuel to the fire, with industry watchdogs noting that the standard aggressive defense strategy has been completely replaced by a tense, terrified silence. The corporate entity that manages Steve Harvey's global brand is fully aware that his entire audience is built on traditional, conservative family values, meaning that even the slight confirmation of a dark, transactional industry cover-up involving his family would result in an immediate, catastrophic collapse of his media empire. The tension and anticipation building across the entertainment industry are palpable, with high-profile figures reportedly distancing themselves from both Lori and her parents at an unprecedented rate, terrified that being seen in their orbit right now will make them targets for upcoming media exposes. The rumors of a massive financial crisis within the specific shell companies used to manage the family's luxury lifestyle are circulating rapidly, with insiders suggesting that immense amounts of capital are being diverted into high-end crisis management firms and elite criminal defense attorneys. Michael B. Jordan, meanwhile, holds all the cards in this high-stakes game of survival, with his complete silence acting as a powerful, terrifying weapon that keeps his adversaries in a constant state of hypervigilance. He hasn't filed a single lawsuit, he hasn't done a single explosive interview, and he hasn't released a single statement, but the mere knowledge that he possesses the definitive truth of what happened behind those closed doors is enough to keep the most powerful people in Hollywood awake at night. The public backlash is already intensifying to a level that is becoming completely unmanageable for the standard public relations machinery, with online communities organizing massive boycotts of products, shows, and brands associated with the Harvey family. People are openly demanding that Steve Harvey address the situation on his various platforms, challenging the morality of a man who continuously gives life advice to everyday people, while allegedly allowing his own family to navigate a highly compromised, deeply hazardous Hollywood system for elite access. The phrases being used across digital commentary platforms point toward a complete shift in public perception, where the glamorous, luxury-filled lifestyle once celebrated by millions is now viewed with deep suspicion, cynicism, and an intense demand for accountability. The unfolding situation has become the ultimate case study in the rapid, unyielding destruction of a carefully manufactured celebrity image, proving that no matter how much money is spent, no matter how many non-disclosure agreements are signed, and no matter how pristine a public relations shield might appear, the truth possesses a relentless, unguided way of fighting its way to the surface when the stakes are at their absolute highest. This brings the entire narrative to a critical juncture where the entertainment industry is forced to confront the dark reality of how it treats its young stars, how it manipulates its audience, and the immense psychological and professional cost paid by individuals like Michael B. Jordan who get caught in the crossfire of these titanic cover-ups. The unfolding legal drama surrounding Diddy ensures that this story cannot simply be swept under the rug or forgotten with the next news cycle, as every single week brings new revelations, new witness testimonies, and new leaked documents from the federal investigation that continuously validate the darkest theories circulating online. Michael's decision to quietly hold onto his truth, protecting his career while letting the system naturally dismantle his adversaries, stands as a masterful move of self-preservation in a world defined by absolute exploitation. The public remains absolutely transfixed by this unfolding corporate and personal nightmare, fully aware that we are witnessing the final desperate moments of a multi-million-dollar Hollywood illusion before it completely implodes under the weight of its own hidden history, leaving a path of absolute destruction that will permanently redefine the culture of celebrity branding for decades to come. This situation is unraveling faster than anyone could have ever predicted, and it leaves us with some incredibly heavy, jaw-dropping questions that completely challenge everything we thought we knew about Hollywood's elite circles. If Michael B. Jordan truly holds the definitive documented proof of a massive industry cover-up, what do you think his next strategic move should be? Should he step forward publicly to completely shatter the curated narrative the Harvey family spent millions to protect? Or is his current silence the ultimate weapon of absolute self-preservation? And what does this entire unfolding nightmare say about the sheer level of manipulation happening behind the scenes of our favorite celebrity couples? I need you to drop your absolute rawest thoughts, theories, and breakdowns in the comments below because the digital streets are completely on fire over this realization. Do you believe the Harvey family brand can ever truly survive the catastrophic fallout of Diddy's crumbling empire? Or are we witnessing the final irreversible collapse of a multi-million-dollar Hollywood illusion? If you are locking in for this deep dive investigation and want to ensure you never miss a single second of these breaking industry truths, make sure to smash that like button right now, drop your commentary down below, and hit subscribe with notifications turned all the way on because this terrifying story is far from over, and the receipts are bleeding out in real time.